Watching all of this was Mike Pence.
I didn't come to Congress to help Ted Kennedy move his agenda. I came to make the agenda of Ronald Reagan, the conservative agenda of the Republican Party, real.
Then a 42-year-old from Indiana serving his first term in Congress. As much as anyone can, Pence embodies the growth of conservatism in recent decades.
Growing up in a large Irish Catholic family, for me there was a picture of the Pope and John F. Kennedy on the television set. And from very early on, President Kennedy and his family really fired my imagination about public service. I was the Democratic Party coordinator in Bartholomew County, Indiana in 1976. But by the time I got to college, I began to think about the conservative values that I was raised to believe in. I was very much drawn to the philosophy of government expressed by President Ronald Reagan.
No government in history has ever voluntarily reduced itself in size, and that's what we're going to do to the federal government.
Mike Pence ran and lost twice for Congress, preaching the gospel of conservatism.
We believe in the power and the importance of the individual. Second,
I spent a lot of time driving around southern Indiana in a Grand Prix with Newt Gingrich's Go-Pack tapes strewn all over the floor of our car.
Know that the time of politics...
In 2000, Pence finally won that seat in Congress, and he was ready to help rein in big government. But there was a surprise in store for him. I arrived in Washington, D.C. in 2001, greatly inspired by the ideals of Ronald Reagan and Newt Gingrich.
Want a little less money for government?
As you know, I've never liked big government.
And the very first priority of the very first Congress I was a part of was the No Child Left Behind Act that increased the Federal Department of Education by 50% and introduced national testing in the 4th and 8th grade.
And that was only the beginning. Over the next 5 years, a growing number of conservatives watched with growing uneasiness at what unfolded.
The bill I signed today authorizes $400 billion. This legislation will authorize $200 million per year. There's no doubt we increased our budgets.
The biggest increase in discretionary domestic spending of any administration since LBJ's.
Our government is finally bringing prescription drug coverage to the seniors of America.
The biggest new entitlement, the prescription drug program, since Medicare.
In order to fight and win the war, it requires a expenditure of money.
A war in Iraq premised on a foreign policy that aimed to bring democracy to every corner of the globe.
There's an investigation going on by the Justice Department.
And embraced by congressional Republicans of the very behavior.
I don't know him.
Trading legislative favors for campaign cash and personal enrichment that outraged conservatives when Democrats were in control.
I believe that as a movement, that we have veered off course into the dangerous and uncharted waters of big government republicanism.
Mike Pence is far from alone. In recent months, conservatives have penned a stack of books accusing Bush and congressional Republicans of abandoning the conservative cause. And a growing number of conservatives have been asking out loud, whatever happened to the core conservative notion proclaimed by Ronald Reagan in his first inaugural?
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
It is a conviction held by the founding father of conservatism, who launched his National Review magazine half a century ago.
Government can't do anything for you except in proportion as it can do something to you.
By a British-born Catholic gay libertarian.
Why can we not say small government is the best government?
By a Texas academic turned politician who helped win the battle for Congress and became one of its leaders.
I believe in small government. I believe in personal liberty.
And a Kennedy Democrat turned conservative Republican who was in his third term in the House.
Millions of Americans who cherish the ideals of limited government and traditional values are not about power.